I think that community education is probably a lot more important than it's been given credit for until now. And the reason for that is I look at the model of some economies that I've always admired from afar, and I'm thinking of Germany and Scandinavia, and for some of my political inclination, that sort of social democracy seems to work well. Specifically, the focus, the emphasis they have in those countries on quote-unquote lifelong learning.
So I think some of the community initiatives that are being developed around small, informal learning, using libraries, using community centres, where we've brought people together, and it's almost learning without them noticing that they are learning, that are the most effective ways of starting to engage people.
It just seems absolutely crucial to keep education as a lifelong pursuit. So community education, open to as many comers as possible, seems not only a nice thing, it seems kind of a necessity. Anna came up with the excellent idea of PopUp Universities, and the only, as we joked about before, but it's true, the only merit I had was to recognize how very good an idea she had and to support her from the outset on that.
So the idea was to find a locus in which we could offer as many different types of informal and formal learning as possible, as tasters, to try and whet the Enfield appetite towards learning and ideas. Obviously, higher education is clearly a need, and we would like to move people towards getting access to higher education. But actually there's a need for education at all different levels. We've got 3 local further education colleges in this borough, all with very distinct offers, and all located quite strategically to the north, to the west, and to the north-west of the borough. So different people will want to access different forms of training and opportunities. So rather than having just Birkbeck on its own providing a kind of higher education offer, why not open it out and have not only an FE offer, which would encompass anything from horticulture, animal husbandry to hair and beauty, bricklaying, all the rest of the offer that is delivered through the further education sector, but also bring in some of our colleagues and partners in the voluntary sector to look at doing some really informal learning, and to look at some of our excluded communities and people who face significant barriers in terms of social inclusion. It was all worth it, but I think it would have been very hard to do that without the support of the politicians.
Officers should be empowered to be entrepreneurial. We need to approve of officers calling upon all their intelligence and coming up with creative ideas. It's important to communicate this to the wider community. To a certain extent, this is because, as we were discussing, my day job is in higher education. In part, higher education is about bums on seats. And it's getting people to look at these offerings and to say, you know what, that is of interest to me and or that is of potential use to me. And convincing people it's worth it to come into whatever provision we're offering. And there was some help which I provided at that level for the PopUp University also, in terms of working with other colleagues to organize the publicity.